This is Attorney Kip from Malik & Malik. I'm going to be talking about the VSSR. So I've talked about VSSRs in the past. That stands for a violation of a specific safety requirement. And this is a 10th District case, and it is the specifics in mandamus on objections of the magistrate's decision. So essentially, the injured worker lost and they're filing objections, and that's what this whole decision is in regards to. And the case is Strawser versus IC. And remember, a violation, or VSSR, stands for a violation of a specific safety requirement. So, and typically what that means is somebody suffered a serious injury and they're alleging that the injured worker or the employer violated one of these specific safety requirements listed in the Ohio Administrative Code. So, and so what they filed the VSSR and they've lost, and they filed a mandamus to the 10th District, and they've essentially lost that, and so now they're filing objections to the 10th District's decision. So in this case, it's Strawser versus IC, and the decision was rendered on November 30th of 2023. And essentially, the injured worker, Mr. Strawser, was training at his employer, J Industries, and he was done, I guess, training and doing his particular task for the day. So he approached one of his coworkers, Mr. Wren, to train him on a new process or something that he wasn't trained on yet. So Mr. Wren obliged Mr. Strawser's request, and they're working on this hydraulic press station. And Mr. Wren instructed the injured worker to insert metal pieces in the left side of the hydraulic press, while Mr. Wren loaded metal pieces on the right side. Then what would happen is, once these metal pieces were loaded, Mr. Wren would go to the operations podium, which was set back from the hydraulic press, and then he would press two buttons to initiate the press machine. And usually when you have that kind of arrangement, they have the control panel at some space offset from the press, and the idea is to remove the person operating the hydraulic press from any risk of being injured by that hydraulic press. And so you could kind of see where this is going already. This really wasn't a two-person kind of thing, but nevertheless, and it was actually, I believe the machine was set up in a one-person configuration. So anyway, so they did this whole process a few times. Mr. Strawser would load a metal piece on the left side, and Mr. Wren on the right side. Mr. Wren goes to the podium, presses two buttons, the hydraulic presses come together, and whatever thing that they make, they make. However, at one point, Mr. Wren, he loaded his pieces on the right. He went to the control podium, he pressed two buttons, and lo and behold, Mr. Strawser was still loading his pieces on the left side, and Mr. Wren either didn't pay attention or got distracted or whatever. So now he noticed his mistake right away, because obviously Mr. Strawser was probably screaming, and he pressed the emergency shut-off, but the damage was already done. Mr. Strawser's hand, his left hand, was crushed, and then so presumably he filed a workers' comp claim, and I would assume he got temporary total disability and various other forms of compensation, including a scheduled loss award for his left hand. But he also went ahead, and he and his attorney went ahead and filed a VSSR application, and they specifically citing Ohio Administrative Code section 4123-1-5-11E, which states that hydraulic presses are constructed or guarded, are to be constructed or guarded to prevent the hands or fingers of this is important, the operator from entering the danger zone during the operating cycle. So their VSSR went to a hearing, an SHO hearing at the Industrial Commission, and the IC found that there was no VSSR that applied to this particular injury, and they went to an earlier section of that particular code, of the Ohio Administrative Code, and they cited 4123-1-5-01B92, which says that an operator is defined as an employee who is assigned or authorized to work at the specific equipment. So it's not, and if you go back to the code section that we cited, it says that hydraulic presses are to be constructed and guarded to prevent the hands or fingers of the operator. So if you're not an operator and you get injured on this hydraulic press, that's horrible, and you still might have a workers' comp claim, but then you wouldn't have a violation of a specific safety requirement. So, and the IC concluded that the injured worker, Mr. Strawser, was neither assigned to that machine, nor was he authorized to work on the press at the time of the injury. Therefore, he was not an operator. Therefore, that specific code section applied. Therefore, no VSSR. So, files it to the 10th District. The magistrate affirmed the IC's decision. And then, again, spoiler alert, the injured worker's objections to the magistrate decision were rejected. So, again, no VSSR from Mr. Strawser. And so when you file objections to these magistrates' decisions, they're reviewed by judges. And the judges reviewing the magistrate's decision focused on the operator definition, obviously, because that's what this is all hanging upon. And it was conclusive that he wasn't assigned by a supervisor. So whether or not he was assigned, because if he was assigned, then maybe he'd be an operator. So he wasn't assigned, so that didn't apply. So the question is whether or not Mr. Strawser was authorized. So the reviewing judges, they conclude that the Ohio Administrative Code 4123 1-5-1-01 does not define what authorized means. So it doesn't, here's the thing, these VSSRs, they're interpreted under strict construction, so they look at every word. So you have to look, what does authorized mean? And first we have to go to the code section. Does it define what authorized mean? If it doesn't define it, the judges basically say the ordinary meaning applies. So what does the ordinary meaning apply? Well, determining that in kind of analyzing that, they look, what does authorized mean? And the judges conclude that since Mr. Strawser had not been trained to operate the hydraulic press that led to his injury, he was therefore not authorized to run the press. Because if somebody's not trained to do a thing, they're not gonna be authorized because they're not trained. I mean, it would be illogical. It's like driving a car. If you're not trained to drive a car, you're not going to get a driver's license. Now, could you drive a car without a driver's license? Sure, but you're not authorized to drive your car. So, kind of same idea here. And so the magistrates concluded that the VSSR code section does not apply as well. So, bottom line, it's kind of a bad outcome, and my sympathies were with Mr. Strawser. But that's how these VSSRs work, and they're very, very, very strictly interpreted. So just because you have a horrible, debilitating injury does not mean that you're going to automatically have a VSR, or that there's going to be some intentional tort that you could file, because there's these very precise, specific laws that apply, particularly to things like VSSRs and whatnot. So, and it's kind of built that way. So that's kind of how VSSRs work. Again, this is Attorney Kip from Alec Malik. As I say at the end of all these videos, workers' comp is not a simple thing to deal with in Ohio. So if you have any question, if there's any questions at all about how workers' comp works or what you should do with your claim, you absolutely must reach out to a workers' comp attorney. I don't care who it is. You could, call us, but look, find somebody, talk to as many people as you need, and then find the attorney or law firm that you trust and that you think is going to work for you. So ask your friends, neighbors, coworkers, etc. Who do they recommend? Or search on Google. Find somebody, talk to them. It's going to pay dividends, because again, Ohio workers' comp in Ohio is a complicated beast. So you've been listening to Kip. Stay safe, and thank you for listening.